Welcome to The View on Data, a monthly roundtable podcast where women in data share unfiltered stories, career lessons, and real talk about what it takes to thrive in the world of data and tech.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We are The View on Data. Last time we talked, we really talked about like how we as data humans came into this space, how we came from all kinds of strange backgrounds, none from data really. Our journeys in our careers and our experiences working in data. And you all finished. I watched the rest of your episode, and it was so delightful. Um, so, quick intros. If you all don't remember me from last time, I'm Lauren Benezra. I am a lead analytics engineer on the data team at DBT Labs. And Paige?
I'm Paige Berry. I am a lead data analyst on the data team at DBT Labs. Fun fact, I've been doing data work for over 20 years, and I still feel like an imposter. Faith.
I'm Faith McKenna. I'm a lead technical instructor on the training team.
Hey.
So today, as Paige mentioned, we are going to jump into imposter syndrome and what that looks like in data. This is kind of a big topic. And actually, Paige and I did a talk on this last year at Coalesce, which was really, and Faith was there, which is
It
awesome.
was so money. It was so money. It was fantastic.
It's a great thing to be sharing. I think like it's something that, even though I know it gets thrown around a lot, people don't actually talk about it, and they don't like really share how scary it is to be a person in the data world, and like how scary it is to jump in, even when you come from crickets or anything else. Like it's just a scary thing. So imposter syndrome is going to be kind of our topic today. So Paige, do you want to start us off with like a personal story of feeling out of place or like you didn't belong?
Sure. Actually, there's probably one from this last week.
Great.
Real.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah. Right. I've done product analytics off and on in my career, but for the last couple of years at DBT Labs, I was working in kind of a different area of the company, finance and stuff like that. So I'm back on the product pod, EPD pod here. Have been for a couple of months, and last week I'm working with a bunch of product managers. We're talking about stuff, and they wanted me to come up with a list of metrics to measure something about our product, and it's really the first time in a while that I've been asked to do something like that. And I spent probably half a day just like literally freaking out. Like, why are they asking me? I haven't done this in a couple of years. Why me? It was literally the question going around and around my head as I'm doing the work. And I think one of the things that really helped was remembering that I don't have to do it alone. I actually have some really incredible teammates on the product pod with me, data analysts, and be able to kind of do a brain dump and then share with them and get feedback was actually incredibly helpful and validating. I also, I did spend an hour just like researching online. What do people look at for these metrics these days? What's new since I last did this work every day? That was actually really helpful and interesting. And then I took some time. We have a company chat GPT account, and I hopped into there and added a bunch of thoughts and resources and asked questions. And that was also actually really validating, because the list that it came back with, most of it was like, this isn't actually useful, but some of the pieces were, and it was actually really like helpful in a way to sort of show me that it wasn't missing something maybe necessarily, which was my main fear. So yeah, that is a thing that happened for me just last week, and it worked out great, but it definitely took some mental gymnastics to get over the feelings I started out with when that was asked of me. So
I feel like that's the biggest, scariest thing, is when somebody asks you to do something that you feel like you should know.
Yes.
And you question it and you go like, oh no. Do I know this?
Yeah.
Like they think that I know more than I do, or like I should know this and I don't. Um, I
Yes.
think that's like the most intimidating and the easiest way to get your imposter syndrome to just come creeping back and go like, see, you're a failure. You're
Yeah.
terrible at everything. You don't know anything, even if you should know it.
Exactly.
Especially the feeling of someone implying that you know more than you feel like you do
Yes.
is very real. When I joined DBT at the time, I was the only person on the training team who had experience working as an analyst.
Mm.
And it was like part of what counted well in my interviews. But when I joined, I got a lot of commentary that was like, from my teammates that were like, oh, like you're an expert on DBT. You use DBT all the time at work, right? And I was like, did I say that? No, because at my job, I used maybe 30% of DBT's full functionality because it's a huge product and I used it for data modeling and testing and documentation. And I didn't touch anything related to orchestration or environments or any of those types of things because that was all handled by a data engineer.
Mm.
So coming in and having somebody say, yeah, you're our like DBT expert. I was like, absolutely not. I was like, oh my God, absolutely not.
Totally.
But I think, Paige, like you touched on that like the easiest thing to do is just look on the internets, right?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that is, I think that's what I learned in grad school was like you aren't becoming a human being. Like you're not hired for everything that you have in your brain. You're hired because you know where to look for things.
Yes.
And that's like it's a great skill. It's an amazing thing to be able to like know to go to ChatGPT if that's your thing, or like go to Stack Overflow and read through a whole bunch of things, or go to the DBT community Slack and like figure out how to use environments, right? Like all of that stuff, I think is knowing where to look and knowing how to decipher the information is the skill that you're hired for, and not
Right.
like the actual knowledge that you keep inside your brain.
Yeah, totally. I was actually asking Jay, my husband, about something related this last week. Around he used to work in support at New Relic, and he would have to communicate during like incidents that when things were going wrong for the engineering org. And I was like, "How did you keep your cool?" And he's like, "The secret is that you don't have to know the answer; you just have to know the next step."
Yeah.
That was like incredibly valuable. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah, because the people that are asking don't know, right?
Yeah,
Like that's to be Rick.
Rick, she made it.
Totally, Lauren. I agree with that. I don't know.
Love it.
We are talking about imposter syndrome today.
Yes.
Oh my god!
What's that?
Oh my god! Wait, can you reintroduce yourself really quickly, please, Rick?
Hello, everybody. My name is Erica Louie, or Rick. You can call me either or Erica or Rick. And I am an analytics manager at DBT Labs.
You
Or
mean
diplomat.
you're an analytics manager?
Yes.
Period. Okay, great.
Yes.
You said it with a question mark at the end.
Y'all, I just came from insane LA traffic. That was, of course.
Oh, sorry.
So I apologize for being very fashionably late.
Love it.
We literally just started 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, totally.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, you're actually perfect timing. I mean, I love how this podcast people can come in and leave whenever we need
Um,
Faith, do you want to share a little bit about like in a time that you experienced some feeling out of place?
Yeah. I think this was most apparent at my last job where I was hired as the company's first data analyst. And they had a really small data team prior to me joining. I mentioned in the last episode that the two people who were on the data team prior to me joining One had his PhD in math from Yale, and the other one had his undergrad degree from Harvard. And both of them were experienced data scientists who wanted to do anything but make bar charts. And I said, making bar charts is good with me. So I joined the team and when I rolled up to my first code review, I fully went home and cried afterwards. Because it was that brutal. Like we had not like adopted the modern data stack at that point. So the analytics work I was doing was entirely in like a Jupyter notebook. And I brought my Python stuff to them. And during the whole code review, it just became immediately apparent to me how long I had to go to develop my skills in order to like measure up to where they were at. And it was it's intimidating to sit in front of people with like fancy degrees who know about a lot more stuff than you. And it's difficult to remember, which was true in the moment, that they were trying to help. I had a voice teacher a long time ago who would tell me frequently that like my job is to take you from being good to being great, and would also tell me frequently that people don't give feedback unless they care, and unless they like actually care about your skill development. That was hard to remember in the moment though, and I think most of the time when I have these experiences of like feeling out of place, I almost never remembered that truism in the moment, and instead have like contented myself with the like the speed of the rebound, because I don't personally think it's like super productive for me when I'm feeling like a little inadequate or out of place or like I don't belong, to try to like wrench out of that emotional space like in the moment, because I'm just going to feel whatever I'm going to feel. But in the after, it is genuinely helpful to remember things like they may have fancy degrees, but they hired me and they think I have something to offer. Yes. And they wouldn't take an hour out of their busy days to help me improve my Python skills if they didn't think I could remember what they said and implement what they said. And we ended up being like honestly quite a crack data team that was very fun to work on, and like the initial sort of emotional difficulty of trying to get on their level, trying to like figure out what my level is, was really tough, and continues to like be tough when it comes up in like subsequent positions.
Yeah, those math people are really intimidating.
Yeah.
Those math people.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Like that competition between your little like the devil's on the shoulder or the devil and the angel, and the devil is like your imposter syndrome and the angel is like just really genuine feedback that's going to make you better at your job. Like that, those competing things and the intention behind them is so hard to overcome. And if like your little devil guy is louder, you know, it's easier to be like, I'm a failure, I should be fired. When in reality, the person giving you that feedback is like, literally, I see the potential in you and I can see you doing really well. So like, here's some shit that I know you can handle.
Totally.
Can I say shit on this podcast?
I think we've sweared before. It's fine.
Yeah. I also have two devils on my shoulders. I don't know. They're both devils.
Yeah, and like I think it's important too to like not get too scared by like negative feelings or feelings of like not belonging, because like our feelings are not our actions and are not necessarily our reality. So like you can feel a little like, oh my God, I'm gonna go cry later about this feedback, and you can still take it gracefully in the moment, and you can still, you know, do the professional thing, which is thank you so much for that. Like I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna go back and get better. I think like there was at like a time in my own like emotional development where I felt very like, oh my God, if I have a single negative feeling, like I'm going to do something that I regret. And that just isn't how it is. Like the negative feelings can be there and can be dealt with without you like it's not wrong to like have negative feelings about yourself. I don't think that's the goal, is to get rid of those necessarily.
Yeah.
Rick, you are oh my gosh, infamously, there it is. Rick, you were infamously head of data at DBT Labs.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about did you have any imposter syndrome?
Oh my God. Being 25 and then being a head of data at DBT Labs, imposter syndrome, that's crazy.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
wild.
Nah.
Oh.
I mean, even starting at DBT Labs, then Fishtown Analytics, I was their first junior hire. And so for the first 6 months, I thought I was going to get fired. And for like every single quarterly review that we had for like a year, I would just start crying. I was like,
Real.
Tristan started having a joke where he was like, I brought tissues.
Oh my God.
And then he's like, is everything okay? And
Jesus.
like, and it was really coming from the fact that I did not know SQL, and I felt like they're going to see me as a fraud. And they're going to know that I don't belong here. And then when I was head of data, I think that it came to a point of like, okay, well, Tristan sees something in me that I obviously do not see in myself, but I was always like very earnest about the things I didn't know and things I was like really worried about. I think as head of data, I kind of went into it too, being like, I don't have to stay in this role. I don't want to be a VP of data. I'm just here because Tristan said this would be a good opportunity and I really like the people. And so I'm just going to do it. And
just
yeah, it was really just vibing. And I think that it was because at
Real.
that point, I felt more reassured of myself and the things I wanted. And also like very realistic and grounded and knowing that like this isn't a permanent thing. I don't have to do this.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
I think that like there were a lot of people, not a lot, but there were like some things where people were like, oh, does she know what she's doing? And I always was like, well, I'm producing good work and I'm hired great people and
Yeah.
the people that we work with are happy. And if people aren't happy and they're not saying anything to me, then how the fuck am I supposed to know like that I'm doing something wrong? And
Yeah.
it was I was always very upfront with Tristan about like the things I was feeling nervous about, but I think it was because he cultivated a psychologically safe space for me to express
Mhm.
that and for me to have like a lot of self-awareness of the things that I'm like, okay, I'm having these, we call them big feelings. Like, where are they coming from? And I think emotions in general are just signals of something greater that's going on in your head, whether it is grounded in reality or not. It's important to understand where those anxieties are coming from and expressing them. So I definitely felt imposter syndrome as head of data, but I would always have to check in with myself and being like, but are you happy? Like with your what you're currently doing? And Tristan would always say, like, I am happy with your work. And fuck whoever says anything else. He's like, I am happy with it.
Real.
Love it.
And so it's like
Yes.
also if you're feeling imposter syndrome and it's like your manager isn't giving you reassurance or like you don't have a good sense of like, you know, safety, then maybe it's not imposter syndrome. Maybe it's you just feeling really anxious and unsafe in your work environment.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's like an
Yeah.
important thing to check in with yourself about, because if you're
Yeah.
constantly fighting this mental battle and you're not getting any reassurance and any sense of safety, then I think that causes like greater conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. 1000 billion%.
it's such a huge sign of respect and like really just honestly just respect, like respect from your employer, respect from your colleagues, respect from anyone who is able to say, you know, this is how I think you're doing. Here's my honest opinion on how I think you're doing, and here's some feedback that you can execute. Like huge
Yep.
sign of respect. The
Yeah.
people that don't see your potential are the ones who are going like, "Oh, I've told them that like 4 times and they don't listen and they haven't implemented it, so I'm just gonna not say anything anymore."
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's huge to me. This is really silly, but like I love jujitsu. I've talked about jujitsu a lot on here, but
Yes.
one of my coaches has told me multiple times, like, yeah, when people like there's certain people that who they keep doing the same like big mistake over and over and over again, and it's getting them smashed. And then
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing all the stuff, but it's like because they're, not doing this thing, or they are doing this thing that's a bad in jujitsu. And she just stops saying things to people at some point, like when because they just won't listen, and like they're not evolving. And so that to me is huge. Like any sort of feedback is a sign of respect, is also like a really good indication that I'm doing a good job, because someone
Right.
is seeing like that I have the potential to listen. They know that I'll take the feedback and like do something with it, as opposed to just not doing anything. Should have brought that into data, not jujitsu. But listen, it's very simple.
It is very totally.
Humbling
I mean,
situation.
Work is also, or like these things are applicable even outside of work.
Yes.
And there isn't really a fine line between who you are at work and who you are in your personal life.
Yeah, for sure.
Despite what Severance is proposing.
Is it proposing? I mean, I feel like it is saying that it's really similar,
It's
The
true.
severance procedure is trying to say that it's separate, but
The severance
really
procedure,
different.
yeah. Hot
Yeah.
take, the severance procedure is bad.
I don't think that's a hot take.
If we wanted some hot takes. Just in case we were curious.
Yeah, exactly.
Capitalism hates to see faith coming.
Yes, for sure.
Saying stuff that no one's ever expressed.
Lauren, I'm curious about your experiences too. Have you had experience with this?
I think my biggest imposter syndrome moments were in grad school, because listen, you guys, I have a master's degree in applied math, and when I started that degree, I did not know how to code. I didn't know how to open terminal. I didn't know what terminal was. I did not know anything. And the people around me were like applied math people. And I was like pure math. Like I just didn't know anything about computers. And I just felt like such a failure. And my stepdad, who's a lovely human being, is a theoretical physicist, and is just like, he's got one of those research brains that like I just don't have. Like I really don't get the theory stuff. Like I muddled through undergrad. I just did not enjoy it at all. So he would talk to me about math in a way that was like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about? I don't know what you're saying. And so I like spent 2 years talking to him about my degree and the math that I was studying, and he had this other world that he was living in, and I don't even know what. I was just trying to like learn formulas and like code things and like understand that enough. So, but he's the one that actually told me, like, you don't have to know everything. You just need to know where to look. And that has helped me through 100% of anything that I've struggled at, is like the people around me can either fire me or give me feedback, and I will implement the feedback. And like that is great, or they'll say, I need your help. And the reason they need my help is because they don't know the next step, or they don't know where to look, but I do.
Right.
And even if that means I'm better at Googling than these other people, then that's sick. Like, sweet. I can do that. And I spent like a few years honestly Googling things for people who were too lazy to Google, and instead they would just ask.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, is this what having a job is like? Like, am I?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
built up a lot of confidence for me. So it's not as though I didn't join DBT and didn't think I was going to get fired for the first 6 months. Like, of course, every job, that's how I feel. But there's something to be said for like, if you trust your employer and they're giving you at least feedback, great, implement it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You ignore it, you're doing a bad job. right? Like, it's not that you're doing a bad job because you got feedback. If you don't implement the feedback, you're doing a bad job.
Right.
And then, yeah, just like knowing that I can figure something out is something that has helped me a ton. But I think, like, yeah, grad school was very scary.
Yeah.
I feel
Sounds
like
like
in
it.
grad school too, it's hard because you don't really know what is totally expected from you.
No.
I think that when it comes to careers, that's the thing where I always say like a career ladder is your best friend because you can constantly
Mhm.
check in with yourself on like where am I at? Am I, excelling in these areas? Okay, I'm not gonna get fired.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Also, it's really hard to fire somebody.
Tell that to my lizard brain.
I'm serious though. Like, it's hard to fire somebody. You cannot just fire them. Like, you won't. Rick, you're a manager. Like, I come to work. Are you going to just like fire me today? No, because I could sue you. Like, you can't get fired very easily. So there has to be like time, and then like time of you doing a shitty job, and time of you like being put on probation, and time of like all this stuff before you actually get fired. Just so everybody knows. Like,
Yeah, there has to be like proof that
yeah.
someone is like underperforming, and then you have to say that you had put them on like a, performance plan, and if they
Yes.
didn't
Right.
like excel in those areas, yeah, it takes time. And
Yeah.
also like you could sue someone for unlawful termination. That's like a big thing.
Yeah, and
Know your
most
rights.
companies won't, like, they're not going to take that risk unless you do something that actually breaks the code of conduct. That's the only reason that you could actually get fired on the spot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which at that point, it's like imposter syndrome is not something that you should be worrying about if you're going to be breaking.
It's like your actual behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about their
Like,
Indeed.
your entire personalities, like, there's something wrong with it, you know? You're literally making bad decisions as a human.
in which this podcast is not for you.
No.
Right.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Indeed.
Can you guys all talk about like the hidden emotional labor of constantly proving your worth? Yeah, that's how I felt too when I just read. Are you okay? Is everyone okay?
Yeah. I need a second.
I mean, I talk about this one with my husband almost every day. And because it is, I think when things like this come up, they feel difficult to me to get help with because they're hard to prove. And I think like my experience of the workplace generally, not all the time, but it's generally been like, if you have an issue, you better have documentation, right? And like, if I have a meeting with like this happened recently, like if I have a meeting where I am like, where I just sort of feel like I'm not entirely like being taken seriously,
Mm.
I don't know how to prove that or ask for help. Like I can point to like a tone that I was spoken to where I have like seen people, like it is, it is like men who do this the most. Like it's not, it happens with like women and other genders, but like it's mostly men, where I like feel a tone and hear a tone and see them not use that same speaking style with other people. And so like it means I will over prepare for meetings and like write out very specific agendas and document everything that I do every single day. So that like basically so nobody can say shit about me. And because like this sort of interaction from men, especially men who are like higher up, when I get like spoken to as if like I'm stupid, I'm like, how am I like, I think it just causes like a over preparation like response because I can't exactly go and be like, yeah, well, like this guy talked to me like I was an idiot. Like, how am I supposed to prove that? Like, maybe that's a little too real, but like, 'cause it's not. I don't think it's. I don't know if it's solvable. Like,
Yeah, that preparation really resonates with me too. Excuse me. I think I do. I will do that too a lot. Like a lot of extra preparation, a lot of extra notes, very detailed, takes a lot of time. Actually, this is one of those things that I have gotten help from ChatGPT on, y'all. I know I talk about this
Yeah.
sometimes
Hey, just
with the
want us
team,
to
but
talk about AI.
I know, right? But it is incredible because like my I think a lot of times I will try to over explain to make sure that people I'm communicating to know that I have the full context. I know this thing soup to nuts. I got it, and like you can trust me. I really do know what I'm talking about, but that's a lot, oftentimes way too much information for the
Right.
situation. And so it's been really helpful to like have a chat window where I can brain dump all of that and actually say like, helps me sculpt this into something that sounds confident, but is a lot more concise. And it's
Yeah.
kind of amazing to see how this, LLM will like rewrite what I've said in a way that actually has more of the confidence that I want to present and like feel on some level, but have like somehow gotten away from communicating with over the years because I still just continue to feel like I'm trying to like almost like apologize for who I am in this context,
Right.
Anyway, it's been like revolutionary. And I've picked up like, oh, you know what? I don't need to put in all those I think or possibly or those like kind of like careful words. Now I can just be like, no, it's this. And I know it's this. And I'm going to send that. And it actually has a much better response from people when I do that. Yeah.
I don't use ChatGPT to do this, but I do end up deleting a lot of apologies and a lot of exclamation points always. Every time I write anything, I'm like, let's delete those exclamation points.
Yeah.
I leave mine.
But I think that's
Yeah.
like that idea of like constantly proving your worth. At some point I just like kind of threw it away.
Yeah.
And I don't find myself thinking about it with men. I find it thinking about it with like arrogant people. Like
Mm.
people who stand above me and they're protruding some sort of arrogance and their like goal is to be correct. I'm just like, okay, I guess I can prove you right or prove you wrong or whatever. Like I'm just gonna tell you what I know. Like I've just basically just thrown all of the proving myself out the window for better or for worse,
Love it.
honestly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to like, yeah, emotional labor behind imposter syndrome, I think this kind of goes back to the same theme of like, do you feel like you're in a psychologically safe space?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if you're
Yes.
constantly feeling like you need to do XYZ things over and over and over, and you don't have the space to say that, like, this is too much and like this is actually taking more effort, and I don't
Yeah.
feel like it's going away, then it's like a hard conversation you need to have with those people or have with your boss. And also like checking in of like, why am I doing this?
Mhm.
And I think that for the last year I was head of data, I was like not sleeping that much because I was just constantly just trying to do more and more and more rather than like stepping back and being like, I actually like really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And also realizing like a year later, like, yeah, all I need to do is ask for support and ask for help. And
Yeah.
I think that, and when it comes to imposter syndrome, there's like an important part of it is, is it coming from external or internal
Mm.
Mhm.
forces? And
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Lauren. We're at this point where I have been on meetings where people have been extremely disrespectful. And I go into the meeting being like, this is and like in my mind, like, this is the objective of the meeting. And if I feel like they're steering clear of it or if they're like interjecting, I will just interrupt them. And I'm just
Nice.
like, this is not what we're talking about right now. We have X many people here. Let's like pin that for later and let's continue on this conversation because we need to be productive here.
Love it.
And if there's any point where someone is disrespectful to me, I'm like, I'm not going to bend myself in a way to accommodate you. And I will just have a conversation with you instead. And when I've had those conversations, it ended up being like a really fruitful experience, and they have never spoken to me that way again. And if anything, they had like respected me more, but also allowed me to say things like, don't speak to people like that. Or like that was actually like not a good way of, handling that conversation, because that's just for me my moral alignment. And if I feel like I'm working at a company that supports that type of behavior amongst like their employees, I'm like, that's not the company for me. Maybe some companies, like, everyone's in agreement that we're going to get in the ring together, but I'm like, I'm a lover, not a fighter, and I'm not going to fight for my job in a way where I have to like climb on top of people.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
the psychologically safe, right? Like you felt comfortable bringing that up and saying like, hey, that's not really an appropriate way to talk to somebody. And knowing that if they said, well, F you, then that would be a problem for the company, not
And I
for
bring that
you
shit up
as a
to HR, and I have.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because it's also the bystander effect too, where it's like, even though I don't work directly with this person, if I'm seeing that type of behavior and I look at their career ladder and I see that's not part of the like communication,
Career ladder is your
Right.
best friend.
then
Yeah.
I will take notes and I will also send that to HR and be like, these are all of the witnesses.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm taking notes here.
Yes, same.
Very exciting. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. I think it's what has helped me too is like in those situations when somebody knows, like they can tell that they have squashed you in that meeting and that you just like rolled over and let yourself be squashed. Like they'll put it in their little brain. They'll put it in their like list of human beings that can be squashed. And then they'll just continue to do it again, over and over and over again. And like that thought that someone will see me that way and then continue to do it makes me so mad that I just will not let that happen. Like I will become a stone wall and be like, no, I'm not that person. Like you don't get to treat me like a punching bag. And that's probably deep in childhood response. We don't have to get into it. We don't have to get into it.
My therapist said it doesn't matter where you start, it all connects together.
Kate.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, Kate.
Kate is the best. Yeah, seriously, it does all connect. It does.
Kate is Erica's therapist.
Everyone on my team knows about
For
Kate.
the listener.
Yeah.
Our
We all
team
love
therapist.
Yeah, Kate's amazing.
Okay, so one thing that I do want to talk about is like what has helped each of you regain your confidence? Like what is the thing that has pushed you to go like, okay, I'm no longer listening to this devil on my shoulder, imposter syndrome. Like what are the tools that you have used?
I have a few. One is actually that I look back. I have just like sometimes even looking my Slack history, or we use Notion, looking back on things I wrote, delivered in the history, like 6 months ago, a year ago, and can see so often like the growth that I have gone through and the ways I've improved in parts that I might have felt unsure about or impostery about. That's been really helpful for me, for sure. Knowing when, and for another one has been like understanding that I have my own concept of what good looks like for my work, and if it feels like I'm not seeing, if other people don't seem to be seeing that, sometimes it's enough for me to look at it and say, like, I know this is good work. I know that what I'm doing is good. And that can actually help a lot with taking some of the concern and worry away. It's like fundamentally, I'm making myself happy, honestly, and proud, and maybe that's enough sometimes. And then I think another one is asking for like asking for people around to support sometimes, like even being honest with a teammate or my amazing manager that I feel safe with, and being like, hey, I'm feeling impostery around this thing, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling anxious, can we talk through like some of what's going on, or some scenarios, or what are you seeing, if you can give me feedback first, and maybe I can already make something better before I take it to folks who I feel like are going to be more like harsher judges. That's really helpful. Yeah, those are definitely things that that have helped me for sure.
I'm a pretty big work journaler, so I have like a little template in my personal Notion that like I hit a button every day and it'll spit out for me like anything I'm proud of from today, what I did today, and what I'm doing tomorrow. And like practically it's just a good way to stay organized, but it also is helpful to like actually ask myself like what have I done today that I'm proud of? And there's not always an answer, but I would say like at least like 3 out of the 5 days there usually is.
Cool.
And it also has, because like, free plug for Notion, I guess. I do love like their tagging system in most of their stuff. So I'll like also, I have like a brags tag as well. So like anytime someone has given me like positive feedback, either in like our company shout out channel or privately, I screenshot it right away and put it in my work journal, and I'll tag it with brags. So that way I can go back and look at it and be like, oh, you know what? I actually do know what I'm doing. I'm actually like pretty good at what I do. And it helps me to have like written evidence where I can go back and look and be like, no, like things are actually like fine.
Yeah.
I can't control the lizard brain, like she's gonna do what she's gonna do. But I can like take her to my work journal and give her some evidence and be like, all right, are you done? Like, can you calm down now? And she's usually like, okay.
What's your lizard brain's name?
Karen. She's a bitch. Sorry.
All poor Karens of the world.
No hate to the Karens of the world. No hate to the Karens of the world, but like my Karen's no good.
Of all the names. Wow.
Fantastic.
Cool. I think one thing that's really important is, and what is actually, I've learned a lot from this company in particular. Like when I first joined here, it was the first time that I'd been at a company that was like so open and just had channels, like just public channels. Like you can just go into anything and just look at anything. And the fact that everyone was like, just post it in a public channel, post it in a public channel. Like I'd try to DM people on the sly and be like, hey, this is embarrassing. Like, I don't know this thing. Can you please help me? And they'd be like, put it in the channel. Hello. Like, and that has actually helped me a ton. Like this company has like a culture of, it's not embarrassing. Just put it in public. And like, then everyone can learn from it. That is so cool. Like that's so much cooler. And there's so much more value in it than already knowing the answer. Do you know what I mean? Like knowing the answer in private and just keeping it on the inside. If I put it out into the world and like put it into this company, then like multiple people get to see that and understand it and know it. And then we all learn, which is really cool.
Yeah. Right. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, well, my brain just like farted. It was just like blank. I think that for me, I know, right? Everyone's like seeing me short circuit right now.
Don't worry about
totally. No worries.
I think that one of the things that has really helped for me is, and this is something that I like keep echoing, it's like a strong sense of self-awareness and a strong sense of like self-awareness of the things that I feel like I'm naturally really good at and the things that I like struggle with. And I think that being the youngest of 6 of like 5 siblings who are incredibly smart and you're always compared to, I've always kind of have felt this sense of like, I don't know, I'm the dumb sibling. I'm just here.
How dare you
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
about my friends like that?
I know.
Oh
How
my
dare I
God.
speak to her like that? But I think that I was always very self-aware of, the things I had struggled with and the things where, if anything, I had to gain more confidence in the things I was really good at. And I think it came from really like the my managers telling me like, I see this thing in you.
Mhm.
And I think that it comes from like me only following managers or people who I personally really respect and admire. And so to hear them seeing that part of me and then me, you know, I'm a big journaler. If I don't journal at the end of the day or the beginning of my day, my mental health and my anxiety just goes crazy. And I think it's very similar to like, Paige's brag folder, Faith's work journal. It's like, what were the things that had felt really good? I'm like, okay, I really enjoy managing. And I think that starting the team, I think one of the biggest benefits of being 25 and being head of data was being very upfront with my team of like, I don't know how to do this, but we'll find out together. And we did. And I think that over time, knowing the things that I struggle with um, means that like no one can hurt me. It's like, oh yeah, I'm
Yes.
aware of this. I'm aware this is a problem, and
Yeah.
I want to actively work on it. And I always like keep this thing on like. I also have a Notion page. It's my personal space that are like I have a separate column of the things I want to improve on, and
Yeah.
it's just this constant reminder of okay, I know these are the parts I struggle with, um,
Mhm.
but I also know that these are the things that I will excel at. And if I feel like I'm, not checking in with myself on those things, then sometimes you just forget. And so I think knowing what you struggle in and then knowing what you really excel in and being able to identify those things, and also telling your manager. Or if your manager's like, you have nothing to improve on, you're like, then give me a director position, like you have to also ask for feedback. I don't want to be a director, but like that's like just an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think
Love
that's
that.
the self-awareness piece is
Yes.
so huge because there's a difference between like the weird shit that you tell yourself and then the things that are factual. I
Yeah.
had this therapist once who I was like in this state of I was in my early mid 20s and was like overthinking everything, like just spiraling every moment of every day and was like I don't know who, everything about everything and telling myself all kinds of lies basically. Um, and they're like, okay, what you need to do is like basically write down the things that you are worried about and write down the things that you actually know are true. So you've got like truth column of like facts and then the
Right.
like weird stuff that you're telling yourself. And like the difference between what my brain really wanted to tell myself and convince myself of versus like what the facts were was so vastly different. And that is what happens at work, like when you say that you're going to get fired tomorrow or like you're not doing a good job or like any of those things, like what you actually want to look at is like what am I aware of? I'm aware of the fact that like I got a raise, I got good feedback, like productive feedback from my employer. I am not on a performance plan currently. Great. I completed these projects. These people have said really nice, lovely things about me. I put them in my brag folder,
Mhm.
whatever. Like there's facts and then there's like the weird shit that your subconscious is trying to tell you. And like
Yeah.
those are different.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I
Yeah,
was
I think
yeah, go ahead.
just that self-awareness is like key to being a functioning adult, I think.
So true. Yeah. Knowing our shit. Is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that distinction between like what is Karen saying and then like
Yes.
which is funny, that's my sister's-in-law's name and she's like the chillest person,
Oh,
versus
hey
like
to
what
Rick's
is actually
sister-in-law.
grounded in reality.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about this when I was uh kind of considering like how would I introduce myself honestly, to the product managers I'm working with, newly working with this last month. And like, if I was in a meeting, I'm like, okay, this is me. I'm the data analyst here to help you with your stuff. How would I introduce myself? And at first it was like not so great. And then I was practicing it and thinking like, actually, what if I just said all of the like really cool kick-ass things about me and my career and what I've done? And that was so fun. I was like listing it like, oh my gosh, I'm actually kind of a badass. And like what a fun exercise it was to just be like, tell the story of your career, but just like with the most like glowing positive spin you could put on it. What would that look like? And how fun that was. Yeah, that was really cool.
And even to maybe not make it completely positive, like,
yeah,
what a cool thing to be able to be like, yeah, and then I did this thing and I sucked at it.
Totally.
And then I crawled out of that hole and I did something else that like is more my strength, or like I gained these skills because I sucked at this thing so bad.
Yeah.
Like that is also great. Like those are really good things to call out. I think it's, again, just like what Rick said, is like the awareness of what you're doing and what's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the narrative of like your story in your head, and like you are the writer of it and the narrator, and so it's like, how are you going to frame your hero story, or it's going to be like a villain arc?
Oh, that's really beautiful. That's so, I love that. I think for a long time I let other people write my story. And actually that's what's been so amazing the last year or so for me personally, is now I'm writing it. No one else gets to write this one.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like what Kate and I talk about a lot is like you have agency. And so if you, even in relation to imposter syndrome, it is you have agency to say like, is this helping me feel this way? Like what am I going to do with these feelings, or am I going to let them eat me up? And how am I going to frame this in my head? And that's the majority of what therapy is like framing things in your head differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, Kate. Shout
Thanks,
out.
Kate. Yes.
Kate is changing lives. My husband said something to me the other day about like being in the business of you. So like, what are you doing to better like your business, like Lauren Benezra's business, right? And like that story of like, you piece of shit, you suck, like you're gonna get fired, you're gonna whatever, all those things, it's like not good for Lauren Benezra's business. You know what I mean? So like, you have to do what's good for your business. And those are the things, like that's the story instead of that other stuff.
Oh, and is your business going to be run by lizard brain named Karen?
That's Karen's business, okay? Yeah. This is Lauren Benezra's business, okay?
I love this so much. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so to wrap up, I think like a couple of the things that we talked through, does anyone want to share like just some quick hits of like summary, what has been the most helpful in your imposter syndrome world?
I think self-awareness,
Totally.
having good support around you. Is it you or is it your environment? Journaling, helpful. Collect the things that you're proud of. And you should get a therapist named Kate.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was perfect. That was great.
Yeah.
And you should name the lizard in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Something really appropriate.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, yeah, please, for those of you who are listening, share this episode with anyone who has ever doubted their place in tech. I think like all of us have experienced that so much throughout our careers. But it doesn't have to stay like that. You know, there's a lot of us out there that feel imposter syndrome effects and have essentially figured out a way to ignore it, subdue it, curb the imposter syndrome, reframe it. Yeah.
Yes.
And please follow, subscribe, and connect on social media for the View on Data from DBT Lab.
Yay!
Thank you, everybody. everybody.
The View on Data is sponsored by DBT Labs, produced by Katie Chubb, edited by Jeff Fox, and created by Balaji Oyejide. If you enjoyed the show, leave us a 5-star review or share with a friend. Thanks for listening.